Only a hooligan would buy a Cadillac when this thing exists. I'll include a link to the Lincoln & Draper's website in the description down below. Also include a link to my car buying guide. Let's get right into it. Powering the Navigator is a twin-turbo 3.5-liter V6. It goes through a 10-speed. Fuel economy on this is 15 around town, 22 on the highway, with power outputs being 440 horsepower, and then 510 pound-feet of torque. I'm trying to get to 500,000 subscribers before the end of the year. I'd really appreciate it if you'd help me out with that. Now this one's finished in this metallic white paint, which is more basic, but still looks good. What's definitely not basic is the whole headlight design. You've got this cool kind of fill-in animation. Everyone's doing this on luxury cars nowadays. And you add the giant grille to that, and this thing makes a statement. And I do think this is a nice evolution of the front end with the Navigator. Tire and wheel setup around the side is 275 by 50 by 22. You've got silver there on the top, metallic gray in the center, as well as the Lincoln logo. Got this giant piece here on the side that has the Navigator logo, and you can see the blacked out mirror caps above that. Speaking of giant, this is the L version, so it's the extended version, similar to a Suburban or, you know, an XL Yukon. When it comes to the key fob features, we have our lock and unlock function, remote start. We have the opening for the hatch, as well as the Lincoln logo on the back. This has a new setup in the cargo area. You've got a tailgate now, which I think we should make tailgates great again. SUVs need this. There's also controls for the seats. So the second row you can lower down with these buttons. The third row you can raise and lower with the buttons. And then on the other side, we have USBs. We've got a 12 volts and an outlet. And when it comes to space, tons of space behind the third row. Again, ESV level of space. Something that's certainly nice, you can just press that button and that will close the whole system together. And you can have just the tailgate up if you want to. Now, not too fond of this light bar design in the back end, but it does make a statement. And I really do think the back end is where things go awry with this vehicle, but let me know your thoughts on the look. This does come with power running boards, and then you've got keyless entry there on the door. There is nice soft touch and stitching on the door panel itself. More nice stitching with the seats. They are perforated down the center, and then you've got your adjustments there down below. Legroom here in the back is good. We have a storage pocket. We also have a little USB port, or actually two there on the seat. Now this actually opens or closes the shade on the sunroof, and then we do have this screen here in the center to control functions for the back. For example, the heated seat function. It's quick to respond. We can also control our own climate zone as well. Now I'm back in the third row, and I do have a recline function for the seats. Space is not as good as the second row, but I do fit back here pretty well. And this does have ventilation throughout the top, so it'll keep the passengers cool. Let's now check out the front. Just like the back, you've got really nice trim on the door panel, as well as a nice finish on the window controls, and then this does have blind spot monitoring. Now this is a truck-based SUV with 1,360 pounds of payload. The front seats are pretty crazy looking with all of the support they have. They've got power adjustments and lumbar support too, just lots of adjustments in general. The front passenger has the same setup. Start it up. This has the new two-spoke design. You do have nice stitching around the airbag cover itself. You get these kind of multifunction controls on the steering wheel. A lot of items are now controlled with the kind of screen there, so you can slide through to change what you're adjusting. And you adjust the steering wheel, by the way, with this function. And you have a similar setup for the cruise control just on the left-hand side. Now I'd like to show you guys real-world lighting with these screens, and you can see with the blacked out theme, it's a little bit harder to see with the gauge cluster. But yeah, you've got this massive screen all across the dash that basically contains the gauge cluster and also kind of like an infotainment system, just general information. Look at this screen setup as basically combining a heads-up display with a traditional screen gauge cluster setup. There is a lower screen just down below that is a lot easier to see, by the way, that you can use to change what is on the screen up above. Just press that tab right there and you can change what is displayed within each part of the screen. And then items like the backup camera, 360 camera system, by the way, do pop up in the screen on the dash. And then as for the rest of the functions of this lower screen, this is kind of like your main infotainment. So you've got your climate controls built into it, heated ventilated seats, your general car stuff. So for example, if you want to change the drive modes, that is going to be built into this screen as well. There's a storage space below the center console. The camera doesn't want to focus on it though, sorry folks. And then you've got the actual center stack up above with the controls for the transmission select. You have this giant volume control gear selector here with your parking assist too, and then you have these little cubbies. One of them contains a phone charging pad, the other has some cup holders. There's even more storage behind, kind of a traditional center console with some nice trim on the top. And then, like most big SUVs, this does have a panoramic sunroof. This does come at a cost, so 2025 Navigator L, $107,135. Let's see how the Navigator L performs. Navigator L, the competitor to the Grand Wagoneer L and the Expedition ESV. I think they need to come up with better names, by the way. I'm not talking about like the main name, like Navigator's fine. Grand Wagoneer's fine. Escalade's fine. It's the L and the ESV. I don't know. I think they should do something that's like fancier. I don't know. Like the Yacht Navigator, right, for the long version. I don't know, something that's like related to luxury that expresses that this is a larger version than your standard. I don't know, because it's just weird. It's like you got Navigator and then just L, Escalade, ESV. I don't know. It's not the worst, but it's being a little bit nitpicky. This steering is still something to get used to. By the way, when you turn on the turn signal, it has a little camera there on the screen. Although the steering wheel kind of blocks the screen with how I have it oriented right now. And, you know, in real life, I mean, I can see what's happening on the screen, but it's like, I just don't understand why automakers are doing these black screens. It's really weird. You know, the reason why it's weird is because it's hard. Like, you get so much glare. You get so much glare. Now, this powertrain's wonderful. It's got good low-end torque. It's quite smooth. And it's quiet. The suspension's comfortable. These body and frame SUVs are really nice because they've got independent, you know, and the Escalade and the Grand Wagoneer all have independent suspension all around, and their body and frame. So the independent suspension isolates the bumps, and then the body and frame further isolates them because the pressure goes into the frame. It's a nice setup. It's definitely floaty. That is one downside of this compared to something that's unibody. Is, again, it's gonna be comfortable, but it's gonna kind of wallow a bit more because it's such a big, it's big heavy SUV, but long wheelbase, and you know, body and frame is just not as rigid. But this is about comfort. It's not about handling. If you want handling, yeah, you go unibody. You get something like the Aviator that's an actual car with its construction. Yeah, that low end torque is beautiful. It's really quite impressive, the rate at which this accelerates. This is quite, I mean, this is a very S-Class like experience. So, in conclusion, this is comfortable, drives really well, it's got tons of space, more space than most people need. It does everything well. I'm wondering though how, like, outside of, like, people still have kids here in Utah, so like these big SUVs make sense. You know, like a rich person that has a big family, they're gonna go for one of these. But everywhere else in the US, people aren't having kids anymore, so I'm wondering, like, the utility of this. I guess you could use this as like a limo, right, to take people around. If you're like an Uber Plus driver, whatever they're called, I can't remember what they're called. But yeah, that's the only thing that intrigues me about these big SUVs, that they're still going. I mean, they're obviously super profitable for the companies. That's one reason why they make them. But like, seems like they're still pushing pretty hard on them to, you know, get quite a bit of volume out. And it's like, well, you know, there's customers in Utah, maybe Texas and Idaho, people are still having kids too, but everywhere else, yeah, it seems like people are like, yep, we're not doing that whole kid thing. So just a interesting thing that I've noticed. So let me guys think about the L version, just the new Navigator in general. I think it's a really solid vehicle, and you know, GM claims they've fixed the problems with their V8, but who knows if they actually have. Ford has fixed the issues with this V6, and so what I've been seeing is this V6 is more reliable than the V8, which you usually don't see. The V8s that are naturally aspirated usually end up being more reliable, but you know, turbo technology has come far enough to where the turbo engines, if done right, can actually be pretty reliable. My Grenadier is a great example of that. So let me know your thoughts on the Navigator L.